Geek Fam against the odds take game #1.
A very strong showing here for Geek Fam as they come out refined and ready to go against the home crowd, Blacklist International.
They start off the series hot, stone cold. Our Geek Fam, if the Filipino fans in Blacklist thought this would be a walk in the park, Geek Fam had other plans today.
What a run.
What a run.
What a run. This is game #1 in Geek Fam. I mean, we thought they could win, but like that, 12K gold lead at the end, and you guys talked about throwing bodies. They were literally able to do that. It didn't matter if one of them went down. With such a lead, they could just lock onto the base. A beautiful heart guard there to make sure Marky could just unload.
It's weird because, you know, a lot of people were contemplating, again, the change roster-wise, right? How is it going to look? Man, I love that Niall was back too. He was very decisive, but Marky in the gold lane once again, very aggressively playing against Oheb in the early game, punishing him, getting those couple kills and working around that. That's really where that.
Hey, কি অবস্থা সবার? How are you? I'm doing good so far. কি লাগছে খুব? আলহামদুলিল্লাহ দেখলাম যে খাইতে বসে like let's watch them 5 with you guys. Why not? আমি literally খাবার খাইতেছি এখন. Sorry for the ASMR.
How they want to play. Proactive EXP lane. A gold lane matchup where Marky can just be aggressive, just on his own. Oh, not a lot of help, and then actually getting solo kills onto Oheb, even with a hard guard already on him. So now Blacklist International need to adjust their playstyle here and say, we can't just be defensive and passive. We gotta be aggressive.
Well, again, to break down this game #1 that was heavily in favor of Geek Fam further.
YouTube খুলে দেখে M5 হইতেছে আমার মনেই ছিল না জাস্ট M5 আছে আমি ভালো আছি আপনাদের কি অবস্থা সবার Hey VIP News, what's up? Welcome to the stream. I apologize because আমি খাবার খাইতেছি but M5 হইতেছে so সবাই মিলে একসাথে দেখি ওই টেন্ডেন্সি নিয়ে আর কি নাম
Let's start this out by talking about that draft. It was clear that Geek Fam came to play, Geek Fam came to fight, and at the forefront of that, they had a Vanguard. They had an MVP that just pushed the tempo, starting minute 1.
For sure. I mean, firstly, I want to bring it back to the draft itself, right? The way that Blacklist International drafted for themselves, it really felt like they were really focused on creativity. But then
জুমামোর কি অবস্থা জুমামোর তবে আলহামদুলিল্লাহ আপনাদের কি অবস্থা সবার
Meanwhile, on the other side, Geek Fam with the claws, super honest.
খাবার খাইতেছি আগে থেকে বলে রাখলাম I'm sorry
And yes, though a lot of people might think 1-1 versus Claude is a skill matchup, it really
আজান দেয় আপনি খাবার খাবেন আমার এখানে আজান দিতেছে না তো আমার এখানে কয়টা বাজে 3:32
That's exactly what we saw from Marky. He was able to lane perfectly here.
আমার এখানে 3:32 বাজে
full stacks on his passive to get that mobility to get out of every single initiation that Oheb was trying to force upon him.
And given the mobility, Marky actually, as soon as he felt it, stepped on the clutch and said, you know what, it's game time. Drew first blood early on and just gave hell to a Blacklist International. Really just softened up, tenderized that gold lane. And next
আপনি ভাই কোথায় আমি জাপানে না
gold lead at 5 minutes and a good chunk
লাস্ট 4 মাস তো জাপানেই কি খাইতেছেন ভাত খাইতেছি অফ কোর্স খিদা লাগছে ভাত ডিম চিংড়ি মাছ এই আর কি
Marky at your lead, and here he did lead, and here he's leading his team into a 1-0 start. And again, if it's your gold laner that's having a good time, the concept of the gold lane experience came out in the group stage. Now in the knockouts, Marky's just claiming it.
And if you think about it again, it makes complete sense. Marky's been placed in the jungle. 2 matches where he did phenomenally, right? The fact that he did so well in the jungle, his off-roll has only given him even more confidence, and you can see it from the builds here, Leo. See Halberd into possibly a Windtalker last item. He did not even care about the win in nature. No need, right? The Arlet was shut down in the early game. So was the 1-1 in his own lane. You can see that first blood by the solution, and this is the first blood, or not first blood, but the first solo kill in the XP lane as well that I was trying to talk about, right? The fact that he doesn't need to care about any of the physical damage. Heck, it even feels like he doesn't really need to care about Yue's damage here because the frontliners from Geek Fam do such a good job of zoning Yue to create such a safe space for a boy and Marky.
That's right. One of the few things that Blacklist had going for them was vision and map presence. Because again, the global nature of the Angela, and of course just the vision. You're looking at what? At best a quarter of the map with the Astral Echoes. meant nothing to Geek Fam because again, they were so forward, they were so fast, and they knew that they could close this gap. As mentioned by our casters, the early game belongs to Geek Fam, but what if they played so fast and played just so in your face that they made it feel like everything was the early game, and they ended up pretty quick. Again, sub 15 minutes,
Johnny.
this was just overloading Geek Fam on the play.
আমি যতটুকু শুনছি যাতে তোমাদের বিডি সার্ভার নতুন করে রিলোকেট করা হইতেছে ঠিক আছে they had some issues and fix করতেছে ওইগুলাই সো আপাতত তোমাদের টেম্পোরারি সার্ভারে রাখা হয়েছে that's why you're getting like all type of players you know একটু ওয়েট করো তোমাদের বাংলাদেশের সার্ভার নতুন করে রিলোকেট করতেছে আবার পেয়ে যাবে খুব তাড়াতাড়ি প্রবলেম সলভ হবে প্যারেন্ট আর তোমাদের যদি আর কি ওই অবধি একটু লাইক তাড়াহুড়া থাকে আমরা হচ্ছে ইয়ে করে দিছি বাংলাদেশ সার্ভারের আইপি দিয়ে দেওয়া হয়েছে তোমরা তোমাদের ইন্টারনেট প্রোভাইডার যে করে যাদের ওয়াইফাই লাইন রাখা তোমাদের তোমরা হচ্ছে ওদের কাছ থেকে গিয়ে ওদেরকে বলবা যে আমাকে এই ইয়েটা দেন হচ্ছে এই আইপিটার সাথে কানেক্ট করায় দেন তাহলে আশা করা যায় যে ঠিক হবে
They weren't really able to adapt to that kind of tempo.
Which is, again, evident in when you look at their macro plays. There are moments wherein even Baloyski's hook, even Baloyski's I'm offended would displace their core heroes. I'm looking at SecTioN, I'm looking at Oheb, and sometimes you're just saying, please, Geek Fam, stop. Please, Geek Fam, stop. Here are the emblems that allowed for Geek Fam to do this. Again, you're not seeing a lot of Wilderness Blessing is because they don't really cut through the river anymore. They're actually just saying, you know what, we're going to rotate fast.
Seamless করতেছেন তাই তাহলে প্রক্সি চেঞ্জ করতে হবে most probably
go commit hard. There was not a single, I think, not a single failed rotation on Geek Fam throughout this sub 15-minute game.
Not at all, and they didn't even need the Wilderness Blessing, like you mentioned, Leo. And even towards the later stage of the game, you could see that for the side of Luke, he was extremely tanky, but he didn't actually have to sacrifice a whole lot of damage. Just the Fury Hammer and the Bloodlust Axe alone was able to get him places where he was able to dive, deal damage, zone the backline, but also stay tanky as their main frontliner with Nile. Nile on the other side, man, Leo, Nile just had an amazing game, right? Back first time after 2 matches. Damn.
Looking at the damage coming in from UA, despite struggling, not actually getting a full build, because again, a lot of the mid-game to the late-game transition for Blacks International was on him. He did his job. He was able to deal a solid sub 50k damage, but again, at 15 minutes, it's not the ideal situation for Blacklist. And as expected, it is indeed the solution right here. Who is our rich guy? He's the one who's able to farm up, because again, if you get first blood and you're able to set up that quickly, and you're able to deal this much damage, doesn't even matter what teamfight participation looks like anymore. You're basically calling the shots from whatever half of the map you're in.
You're hitting the power spikes early, right? One of the main reasons as to why the 1-1, usually a lot of people put the 1-1 over the Claw when it comes to the lane is because 1-1 hits the power spike a bit earlier. You get that DHS, that Corrosion Scythe, and basically that's what you kind of have in the mid-game. Meanwhile, for the Claude, you really need the Corrosion Scythe, the DHS, and the Golden Staff. So 3 compared to 2 to really get going. If you get solo kills on the map, great farm as well.
I'll try.
Yeah, I mean, you can afford to actually do that, Leo.
It's a matter of tempo. I think it's a matter of figuring out what your opponents are up to. And truth be told, Blacklist was caught out. Geek Fam was just planning for this, and this is their usual, right? If you remember from season 12 in MPLID, this is
ভিডিওগুলোতে মনে করুন এগুলো দেওয়া থাকে just to make the thing funny, but nothing else.
Again, it's now very important that we look at their mentality. This is what the Hitman has to say about going into this, all right? Their competence is top tier. I've adapted to Blacklist's level of competence up to the point that the mindset has become my mindset. Even though I have yet to win a championship, I've already developed a champion's mindset. That's the Hitman.
Wow.
That's the mindset that helped them go all 5 games against Onyx, right? Despite them losing in the first game, it sets the tone for Geek Fam, but this is where Blacklist get to wake up. This is where they say, hey, I don't know what happened in game number 1. We got to get back to that championship mindset, that championship mentality. We call it the Bomba mentality now, right?
Yep. Again, it's a catch-all term that we have caught up due to the media interviews that we've gotten from Kid Bomba in action later on. But now, really, this championship mentality is put to the test. Can Blacks International bounce back? Can they regroup? And again, it's going to come
Blacklist আর আগের Blacklist নাই
Coach Master the Basics have to
লাইনই
go back
চেঞ্জ
to
করে
the
ফেলছে
drawing board and figure out how can we match up to Geek Fam given that they're so aggressive.
Exactly. I mean, looking at the way they drafted earlier, focusing on creativity, they can go back to what works first here in game number 2 after already experimenting in game 1.
Check out this video on mind games before we get back into the series.
Drafting? Nah.
Once upon a time, in the realm of esports, a new element emerged outside of the game.
Oh my god.
Taunting.
Oh.
Throughout the history of Mobile Legends Bang Bang, a few shine as the most unforgettable tales of taunt.
Before we match versus Alter Ego, and then they like, where is Onyx or something, I forgot. And the night I just thinking about what I want to say them if I win. Jadi pas menang bantai, gue confirm ke coach bisa bilang ini, nggak bisa katanya terlalu over. Jadi gue sebelum taunting juga.
Taunting is actually a culture.
Nggak terlalu jauh lah. Cuma akhirnya itu yang.
Ya দরকার আছে, sports এটা দরকার আছে.
Mana spicy boy, mana miracle boy. This is key boy.
Hey Razdeep, hello, what's up?
There's this certain clash that I felt so bad. Enemy was laughing, the fans was shouting and laughing. So I was so hyped that moment. After we win the series, I went to the middle of the stage, then sleep at then like 2 times.
I ada taunting team Filipin dekat MPLI. Tapi sebenarnya bukan taunting sangat pun, cuma mau kepada statement yang nak kata
Oh!
jadi Philippine Slayer. Reaction mereka ramai kecam. Satu dunia tengah kecam Zon waktu tu, termasuklah Malaysia sekalipun.
But why do players engage in such acts? Among the many reasons, one of them is to play mind games.
Exactly. Taunting is actually a culture.
Put a lot of pressure on your enemy. Sometimes it triggers the angry side because when our emotions take control of us, we lost our common sense. We can lose the aftermatch more fast.
Siguro para ginagawa lang nila yung mga ganong bagay na nagtutunt sila para mabawasan ng moral yung kalaban, para ma-demoralize ganon. Tsaka dagdag confidence din sa kanila kasi panalo sila tas nangaasar pa.
Before I
Yeah, ধরতে regular সময় বেশি তাই.
always got the confidence for me. That's why I do the taunting, so it helped me a lot. Sometimes saya rasa saya nak spicy sikit. Saya akan membuatkan isu ni lagi hangat. Tournament ni lagi orang tengok lah sebab ada.
This thing actually works. Taunting actually works. That's the only reason যখন আপনারা মানে মাঝে মাঝে দেখবেন আমি যখন ট্যাঙ্ক খেলি বা ম্যাচ খেলি I often like spam my recall a lot or always use an emoji or emote whenever I like kill someone or something. Messi or Ronaldo, both.
You know, if you get killed by them taunting, then you're weak. Why you play M5? Go home.
Be wary though, for the taunts must
Japan time কয়টা যখন 3:42.
Benda-benda yang sensitif, rasanya itu macam dah melebih lah. Rasa macam itu bukan taunting, itu macam nak cari gaduh.
In the midst of a fierce match between Daysvolt and GeekFam in the group stage, Niall crossed the line. He was barred for 2 official matches. In a different tournament, Odette too had to face the music.
But I think when it comes to disrespect the person, like putting the person down, and I think that's the crossing the limit.
And? আর কোন ডকুমেন্টস নিয়ে যাওয়ার হবে? কোন ডকুমেন্টস নিয়ে যেতে হবে? আর কিছু না।
I think we have a better chance.
Okay.
I teach my team and my players to be humble. We should be a great example for everyone.
Okay.
When taunting is kept within boundaries, it is merely a game of
Perfect.
mind. Beyond the battleground, players remain friendly despite intense competition.
I don't know, I don't want to be friends with him.
মিডল ফিঙ্গার দেখাইছিল ইয়া বাদ পড়ছে ওর জন্য বাদ পড়ে নাই সাসপেন্ডেড হয়েছিল I support taunting in a way but like এটারে স্পোর্টসম্যানশিপ অবধি রাখাই ভালো you know everything has a limit.
I love it. I know we talk a lot about that, you know, kind of the concept of taunting, where it fits, what's the line, and you know, as long as it's done responsibly, professionally, it's all part of the game, right? It's all part
Exactly.
of the sport.
Do it professionally, do it responsibly.
Nobody wants a bland,
Responsibly, sorry.
grand
Fuck my English, dude.
We want to see. We love it. I love it.
I love it as well, bhai.
I don't know. Hey,
আন্তর্জাতিক কালো তালিকা জিতবে
the Boston Tea Party. Let's have ourselves an M5 TP party instead. Keep it within those boundaries.
blacklist না blacklist international আন্তর্জাতিক কালো তালিকা good one আমার না blacklister এবারে লাইনআপ পছন্দ হয় নাই
after that game number 1 they came out swinging
but Geek is doing actually good
executed it really well
like going bang on offensive sheesh babe
what is the mentality right now for Blacklist International. They talked about it a little bit in the panel too, and I'm wondering how they adjust in the draft.
Hey, phone দিছিল আমারে oh shoot guys excuse me আমার মা ফোন দিছিল আমি একটু কথাটা বলে আসি I'm very sorry. You guys keep enjoying the M5. I'll join you guys in a minute.
5 minutes, you're going to grab yourself a TikTok viewer chest. If you watch for 20 minutes, you'll go ahead and get a deluxe chest. So grab them while you can, because there's only a couple days of M5 left. Now, bringing it back in to what's ahead of us, gentlemen, right? The matchup game number 2. I think that's the biggest question, even for a lot of the agents out here, is, you know, what is the plan, right? How do you adjust? Because we've heard some of the, you know, things out there about drafting specifically. And this plays a big part of it, especially as you approach a game after losing under 15 minutes or nearly 15 minutes to such a big lead, right? So Renmar, what are you at least expecting here as they approach the Game 2 draft?
Well, I think these two teams now are really going to turn off the idea of maybe going for an Angela priority first pick. Not to say that that will instantly spell doom, but based on the drafting pattern that we saw, and it seems like these two teams, especially Geek Fam, are very familiar with each other. I don't see an Angela first pick slot being drafted to the point where, in the first phase, where it will work. Not to say that it's impossible, but more of like it'll be difficult to make an Angela first pick work in this scenario, but let's see.
Definitely tough. I think Rennie J needs to get maybe moved to be the hitman, not the heel man.
Yeah, a little bit more
He plays
hitman.
so well on the Matilda. He plays so well when he's able to be aggressive, be in the enemy team's face. And that time he had to be more passive, and Geek Fam knew that. They smelled the blood in the water, and they moved in like sharks.
Yeah, again, when you're talking about, you know, personalities and especially of teams like play styles, right? It's always great to be able to switch things up, approach game to game, but really you're hoping, at least for this one, for game 2, you acknowledge, you let the hitman choose a hero that allows him to do that, right? But even looking at that quote that we saw earlier, like, he has adapted this mentality, the championship mentality, which has actually, if you've been watching Renegade, for example, throughout his career, has developed, it has grown extensively, you know, up to this point where he is now well fitted in the roster of Blacklist International. So, once again, we'll see how all things change as we get into the draft for game number 2. Again, Geek Fam up 1 in the series, the best of 5. What's at stake? You're out of the tournament. So, again, Blacklist International wants to even the stakes here 1-1 in the series. It starts here in the draft.
See who goes into what side. Is it going to be similar to earlier where Blacklist went blue and then Geek Fam went red? Or will it be a switch? It's going to be similar. Similar bans actually across the board, except this time instead of a Bruno ban, it's a Baksha ban here by Geek Fam. So just a small adjustment. Valentina, first pick, Yue will get one of the signature pickups.
What makes that Basha ban so interesting is it comes from Geek Fam, so it immediately shows we're not going to run the same thing as last time. We're going to switch it up a little bit because we know Blacklist is going to switch it up most likely. So we want to keep them on their toes, and I think it's a great play. Even just starting in the banning phase, they're kind of getting in Blacklist's head a little bit.
It's funny with this too because, you know, we were talking about Renegade specifically, but this also allows Blacklist International to be a little more decisive, right? You pick up the Valentina, goes in the hands of Yue, and then you take an Akai. You still play the utility game against the Fredrin. And then the next pick, the Matilda.
There we go. Now we're getting the faster Blacklist. It's Heelman with a little mix of Hitman. We know how the Matilda likes to play. Yeah. And then paired up with Sensui's Akai, you have Valentina in the mid. These are great first 3 picks by Blacklist. It's very similar to a style that they're known for. So they're going into this also with that little asterisk of, guys, Geek Fam know we draft like this.
Yep.
We have to watch out for counter pickups. So now Geek Fam, they want to amp up that early game aggression. Again, they're still going to be going for fast scale and quick dominate. Faramis, Fredrin, Bruno are 3 picks that do that very well.
I I like the Faramis pick. It gives them, you know, it gives Marky a little bit of a safer, he's able to kind of huddle down into the group a little bit, and when you have something like Renny J, the Hitman, on this Matilda, someone that's going to be looking for Marky nonstop, it gives you a little bit of an answer there.
That's a classic matchup, right? Valentina, Faramis. It's going to be Netherrealm versus Netherrealm for the most part, right?
Yeah.
And especially around these later objectives. But this is already a great start because even just rotation-wise, Blacklist International has to get going, and this is the best way to do it. You have a Matilda, you have a Valentina able to help extend those fights. Now, my big question, once again, is what do you put up against the Bruno, right? Statistically, throughout M5, we've seen the Brody versus Bruno matchup. Well, we know where that falls statistically, right? It's still favored in Bruno, but again, we also see a lot of Claude popped up who, you know, right now is not banned out either.
I think something great here for the side of Geek, pick up something like the Tigreal, pick up something like the Minotaur. So if Matilda tries to come in, you have an immediate answer to that. Because the thing is Blacklist wants to get into the midst of them all and just cause mayhem. So Geek fam, I think, need a strong answer for that.
Yeah, and now it's interesting that the Geek fam are still respecting the 1-1, and there, the Minotaur actually here was taken out by Blacklist International. You still have very strong EXP laners in Paquito, Khalid, and Lapu Lapu open. All those honestly can slot in very well for Blacklist International, but then at the same time for Geek fam, it's they can also just choose between those. If I'm Geek fam here, just continue that. You want to get someone who can fast clear like this, exactly, just like earlier. Fast clear, rotate, go for it. Blacklist might play the same way. Paquito Khalid is available, but if they want to keep things super interesting, maybe play a little bit more macro, you might see Agent Zero's Benedetta.
Ooh, if he goes to Benedetta.
And then maybe Claude here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those are both good picks, but still, even with the fact that Khalid is open, we saw how that plays a part, but always you have to consider the fact, too, you got to work with the heavy spin, right? You don't want to end up pushing things out. That's the Trizla. There's the Riz. He comes through. This is a constant pickup. You can see the win rates here. It is 51%, but he's almost in all these series so far through the course of M5. Now, once again, this allows you to kind of set things up really well. What do they throw in the gold lane here? It's going to be Iksha.
Oh, interesting. All right, so Geek fam. Oh, and instantly a Grok. It really looked like Geek fam read into that so quickly because the moment that Iksha popped up, quick pick,
boom, wild charge.
Yes, it seems like they were so ready for it because right now, that Grok pickup was so good because, yes, you have the Lapu Lapu, but you need more help to dive the back line.
Yep.
And the Grok was just a perfect pickup there. So now, Blacklist are going to need to be super systematic about this. They need to peel for the Iksha really well in those team fights. But then now, at the same time, Geek fam have a lineup where they can continue their same strategy and playstyle from game number 1, where it's just go into the jungle, fast clear, steal contest, and then rinse and repeat until you're dominating the game.
Well, once again, both lineups locked in here. Agents, you gotta cheer for a Blacklist International if you want them to get the one. Even it out 1-1 here against Geek fam after what we saw from the previous game as we go into the land of Dawn in game number 2.
All right, starting this off 0-1. Geek fam in the lead. Can they do it again, Renmar?
Well, they have the lineup for it, but this time it's not going to be as one-sided in the early game as we saw from game number 1. Blacklist International have the right tools to sort of mitigate or minimize the damage that a snowballing Geek fam can potentially dish out. But as we were talking about earlier here, you're already seeing aggression from the two roamers. Now Renijay feels a little bit more comfortable going a little bit deeper behind enemy lines, and Beloyski's just continuing what he did from game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do this on an Angela, right? So,
yeah.
In a way, like you said, he's going to be half heal man, half hit man, and that's what he's doing on this Matilda. Putting the pressure there on Niall, but real quick, too, as nothing's happening too much. Emblem-wise, Renmar, take us through it.
All right, doesn't feel like there's anything to do. Oh, there we go, there we go. There's the TP party we're looking for. Niall still will get his purple buff. But hey,
boy, in a little bit of trouble. Renijay not going to commit to try to get those hits. Probably wouldn't have been able to do enough damage, but Blacklist already so aggressive compared to last game, and this is what we want to see from them.
And you hear the agents. It's thunderous right now. Beloyski will not be able to take the buff away. Niall still pressured.
Marky too.
Marky pressured. Oh, here we go.
Every lane right now. Geek fam's feeling the pressure. this time around.
Blacklist all. Oh, Beloyski. Oh. Very low. Should go down here. Brings out the wall. No! Edward finds the kill. A nice play. Geek Fam now trying to recover here.
Yeah.
Okay, first blood drawn here by Blacklist.
Yeah, going back to the emblem real quick. Actually, we saw the double movement speed, feet, emblems. Yes, that's the way to say it now. This is how the kids say it. Beloyski on Beloyski's Grok. So really he wants to apply the pressure, move fast. We don't see that as often now, but with that Grok and how you want to play, that's the right call.
Ooh, you takes a wild charge. Beloyski able to take the turtle. They're going to back off. That's going to recover them a little bit after that first blood for the side of Blacklist. But the fight still goes. Edward in a little bit of trouble. Going to get taken out. Luke picks up the kill. Geek Fam responding back.
Yeah, looked like a little bit of a miscalculation there by Blacklist International. Now here comes the pressure by Geek Fam. Gets Sensui defend his purple buff.
Now they're going to try to go for this. Niall is able to take it. They get the stun on to Sensui, and Niall walks away scot-free.
Once again, you know, Geek Fam biting back here, given the whole situation. So they find a way to even garner themselves a small lead here.
Yeah, wild charge there right on time. And it looked like in that last one after that first turtle, it looked like Blacklist, or at least Edward, wanted to commit, but Blacklist looked like they didn't want to full commit, so he goes down. They lose that control around the center of the map with a key figure going down, and then that means Sensui was open for the invade. So again, Geek Fam is just continuing their playstyle and trend from game number 1. Blacklist International are matching it, but now we're seeing one of the strengths of Geek Fam. They're so good at those post-engagement team fight, the counter go as we call it. Just when you think that teams, hey, they won't counter go in this scenario, Geek Fam will say, hey, we do, and we'll make it work.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Oh, bottom side, Edward.
A little bit of damage on Edward, gonna get stunned up. The appraisal's wrath, and Edward is smashed down. Luke picks up the kill. Beloyski now in a little bit of trouble. Renny J, the hitman, trying to take him out. Undercover in the enemy jungle. Can he get the final hit? No, Renny J decides to back out. Gonna get pulled back in, a boy. And a little bit of chip damage, but both teams disengage.
So now we're seeing here Geek Fam's adjustment. Luke is playing out of his mind here, folks. He is taking it to Edward, and at the same time, Geek Fam are committing rotations into the X because they know that when you're up against Blacklist International, one of the things you do is not just in the draft, but in-game, make sure that Agent Zero has a difficult time, because then that means the rest of Blacklist International will also struggle.
Yeah, still, Turtle going to be up here. Beloyski.
Beloyski maybe in a little bit of trouble, does not have the wild charge. Full barrage comes out. Oheb forces a flicker back though. Luke with the bravest fighter.
Airtel ad dilo আজকে কি রে
Sensui wants to look for a way in, trying to find an angle. Edward with penalty zone on top of Luke. Luke gets the stun.
Woo!
Flicker out Niall, able to still secure it, and Luke gets away safely. Geek Fam playing out of their minds right now.
Woo! Stone cold. It's Luke. Man, we talked about his pickups. What hero you'd give him 2 games in a row on this Lapu, and he's playing so well.
Still
going. What?
In a bad spot. Is this dangerous? He goes down. Renny J, the hitman, finds the kill. Maybe got a little too confident there.
Yeah.
Thought you were going to go Stone Cold Luke Austin.
I like that. Glass-shattering performance by the EXP laner of Geek Fam.
At one point, again, that's a guiding win if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. Ooh, but Beloyski wants to try to catch him off. He's going to look for Oheb here. Gets a wild charge and down goes Oheb. Renny J trying to run away here. Beloyski and a boy put out the wall. They're going to back off.
Okay. Now, we see here Geek Fam are actually playing in bursts, and that's what we see with how Beloyski built the emblem onto this rocket, how he's playing it. And again, here's another burst of goal by Geek Fam, but Niall.
The appraiser's wrath comes down, but Luke once again.
Door say. Lapu be like. Ooh, Vexana baicha gese. Oh! What the fuck? এটা কি দেখলাম? Bro!
A guiding full barrage, a flying barrage, the GFB. That's the first time I've seen that, folks.
Dude, Ixia and Matilda combo is deadly. What the fuck?
It looks better than even the flicker, right? So, hey, they made it work. Again, there's a back and forth, but still, Geek Fam leading by a little bit.
কিরে এটা এক্সিস্ট করে? What the fuck?
Their first turn of the game once again. They don't want to.
We need a replay, bhai. Please, we need a fucking replay for it.
But it looks like they actually want to go ahead and contest this objective.
Wait, আমরা কি তাহলে ম্যাথিল্ডার অডেটেড কম্বো দিতে পারবো এমনি? Is it possible? Or maybe, I don't know, Lolita and Matilda?
But GeekFam does not want to let their foot off the gas right now. Niall going to try to steal this orange buff. It's a 50-50 right there.
Sheesh!
Wild charge. And he flickers out. Oh, wait, the penalty zone locks on. Wait, no, a boy here. Ready to help him fight out. Another Colt Altar, another Netherrealm, and now boy on the run. But here comes Niall along with Marky, getting free shots down. It's a full-on 5v5 and full barrage. First spot. Down goes a boy. Maloyski forced to try to get away with a flicker of health. Sensui is there, Niall gonna try to help his teams.
They're still going.
They don't want to
Wow! Fights going on! Wipe out করে দাও নিমু.
International trying to take the game back.
Folks, this is the matchup we expected. GeekFam and Blacklist International are putting on a show. And here comes GeekFam
Luke still going, stone cold as ever.
শেষ হয় না কেন?
Luke finds the kill, he wants more. Edward now on the run, he's gonna get pulled back by the Shadow Stampede. You as well, Marky.
Woohoo!
GeekFam, the game is back and forth, but they're not gonna let this one go.
Oh, just take it in again, back and forth. The pendulum swings between these two teams. And just when Blacklist International finds a couple wins, GeekFam bites back.
GeekFam, how they're playing here. We've given flowers to Blacklist International. We gotta give the flowers back again to GeekFam. Luke 3:16, I baptize you with bravest fighter, but he who is mightier than I is coming, and that is the rest of GeekFam. Time and time again, their condition for team fighting is the bravest fighter. Those 3 hits, sending back Blacklist. GeekFam says, it's like you can hear them shot go, Baloiki's going, go, guys, go, just go for it.
Hey, it works, right?
It works.
It's great, no matter, just like the great Rocky Balboa says, no matter how many times you get hit, it's all about how you keep getting back up. And Luke right now, willing to take punches to the face time and time again, but he always hits back harder. Lord now down to about 18,000. Sensui trying to keep the vision on it. Edward and Renegade showing up as well. Beloyski's in about half health. They're going to dance for this one. Watch for Marky making his way around, and Lord will reset.
Okay, Lord going to go ahead and reset here. Both teams getting a situation. Once again, Blacklist International. Space-wise, they don't have anything, right? They have to just play to the tune of the fact that GeekFam owns more basically real estate around the map. And that's the difficult part, especially when you get to this point, right? Lord's going to be up here. How do you find the space you want to work with? Renegade's trying to force something, but once again, GeekFam will not fall for it. Lord now less than half health.
Big knock up on a Sensui there. A boy and the rest of the gang, the rest of the fam, playing this slowly. They got faith in Niall. They think he can get the 50-50 as long as the rest of the team is kept away. Renny J looking for an angle, but Niall finds it. GeekFam might want to try to force the fight. I think it might be better if they just back off. Blacklist, I want to go. Big penalty zone by Edward. On to 2, but Sensui gonna get the pin. Blacklist using the Netherrealm. 2 Netherrealms. The fight still continues. GeekFam out. Renegade forced the flicker away. GeekFam now has the advantage with Luke. Finds UA. Once again, he's
Blacklist dead.
as well to have his back.
Oh, nah. Okay.
Niall, but Niall's going to back up. They're just going to take the purple buff and take what they came for.
Big brain Beloy, that wild charge. Saw Blacklist set them up for what could have been a big win for GeekFam. They weren't able to get kills, but at the end of the day, they got the Lord. A surprising call there by GeekFam, specifically Niall, to just rush it to the point where Sensui wasn't even in retribution range, and I don't think even he expected that GeekFam would rush it, take that Lord just like that, then go forward. Systematic aggression. GeekFam are just continuing that again, but now as we look at the items, up to a Malefic Roar already. Is this Bruno? 3 core items locked in, but Oheb really close. Sea Halberd, DHS, Corrosion Scythe. Both marksmen still very close here. And in spite of being a 5K gold lead, these 2 teams already have their conditions. 2-1 GeekFam. Go for a stomping lead. Blacklist International to find a turnaround.
Once again, they'll be able to deal with this Lord quickly as they did. It was the first one of the game. They'll clear the lanes here too. But again, at this point, this kind of feels like that moment when, you know, when you're playing games and you have your teammates yelling at you like push, push, push. Because still, no turrets down, nowhere to work with. So you're wondering, right? Blacklist International, where do we find this movement? Where do we find the space? Where do we find the space to rotate? Who is that going to be, right? Is it we wait for Oheb to be full glass cannon on this Ixia pick and work out here? Because even Beloyski, look how much damage he's just tanking up.
Yeah. But at the same time, I'm also looking at it as how much damage Blacklist International can deal now. Yue is up there in terms of being able to deal the damage. And that's something that the front line of Geek Fam are respecting. So now we've seen Beloyski and Luke be actually just like constantly like going to the front line, really trying to bait out things from the side of Blacklist International. But every time they do it, it seems like the more it happens, the more health we see them losing. So at some point, it might hit critical mass, and then suddenly Geek Fam are just going to be surprised. It's like, wait. We've gotten the vision, we've sent them back, but now we have to go back ourselves. Oh, Blacklist International gets to find a way to turn it around. That's something they have to watch out for.
Now they're really playing around this Matilda as well, of course. But Beloyski is doing work, man. He's everywhere he needs to be on this Grok.
Something else important to point out, the Beloyski curse is over. He hasn't died 7 times at all in the past 2 games, and he has been moving. Even now, he knows his advantage. He knows as long as he can keep his passive procs, it's going to be so hard for Blacklist to try to catch him off guard, and he can just stay in front of their faces right now.
Slower pace now for these two teams as they just play for macro. Blacklist International finally breaking that turret up top. Let's see if this is going to be a full commit.
They want to go for it, actually.
Niall's alone, actually. Penalty zone with the flicker from Edward. Locks on to Niall. Niall instantly gone. Boy brings out the Netherrealm. We want to try to help his friend, but he won't be able to save the day. Beloyski from the side with a wild charge to knock up on Edward. Luke into the backside with the bravest fighter. Looking for Oheb. Gets a stun. But wait, the damage is unloading and Beloyski goes down. Now it's Luke against the world. Marky looking for some free shots. No way Luke goes down. Boy, slow as well. Black to turn the game around and take the second Lord.
It doesn't matter if you don't have any turrets, you're down multiple thousands of gold. It only takes the one-team fight, and Blacklist did it.
Damn.
Viper returning in Survivor Series from out of nowhere. Just like that, tables have been turned, and RMC are electrified yet again. And that came off of information that Beloyski was in the top lane, clearing minion waves. Blacklist said, we go for this now, and we turn it around.
And what a great play at that. Niall
ভাই আমি তো বড় শকে আছে legit হইতাছে নাকি
but ends up getting caught off guard. Blacklist with the game back in their hands.
With that, they're going to go ahead and grab a
আমি এটাই বলি অলওয়েজ কোনো হাল ছাড়তে হয় না লাইক ডাজন্ট ম্যাটার তোমরা কত গোল লিডে পিছে আসছো বা কতগুলা ফিড দিছো দ্যাট ওয়ান টিম ফাইট টেকস ইট অল ঠান্ডায় গোফ জমে গেছে and ঠোঁটে বিঁধতেছে এই কপি মাস্টার কি অবস্থা
like we saw previously. Can they keep it together as the Lord marches in?
All right, Blacklist International. Do they play this safe or do they go for a huge play? Geek Fam definitely going to play a safe. They just need to get the Lord out of here. They've only lost 1 inhibitor, but that will give Blacklist International an advantage over the map.
All right. Okay, Blacklist International can actually continue applying this pressure so they can get inhibitors, as we mentioned, get resources, start choking out.
Oh, there we go. Penalty zone into the backside. Beloyski gonna get the wild charge on the tower, but the full barrage comes out. Luke trying to dodge it, trying to get out of range. Wow. Geek Fam with the Netherrealm, able to survive, but still lose 1. Beloyski off the map.
That's literally covering fire. Like that full barrage covering fire. Immortality popped on Edward, and they keep Geek Fam at bay. So he stays with his life, and now the focus, this last base turret, to fully expose the base of Geek Fam. As they get ready, turret's gonna fall here, and they're happy with that.
Blacklist relentless right now. They've taken everything they can from Geek Fam. How do they respond?
As we look at the instant replay, Geek Fam now have to start dishing out more of the surprises. Because now we see Blacklist International telling Geek Fam, hey, we can dish out surprises too. Surprise calls. You think we're going to be slower in terms of the macro? Hey, it looks like that you don't have your roamer in the Lord pit. We're going to go for the Lord. Hey, it looks like our XP laner can get a massive setup with a penalty zone. Hey, we're going to go for it. Look, your roamer's gone again. So now Blacklist are playing Geek Fam's game, and they're saying, we can do better as well, better than great. These two
These commentators, damn.
But it has gotten to the point where they have both proven one big play might be the decider.
Yeah, again, as we go ahead, get ready for this Lord take, it's going to be pulled over to Blacklist International side. Geek Fam trying to get a position, but right now, Renegade just keeping the map A the best he can. NetherRealm being held by UA here. Could change the course of the fight. Lord's going to go ahead and reset for now. Geek Fam can still possibly steal the Lord away in this exchange against Blacklist International. They take things very slowly. Yeah. Marky's positioning.
Just taunting Geek.
Yeah.
The Lord niba diyo niya jo, Lord niya jo. Taunting as much as they can.
That's where Luke's Lapu is getting parked because he is in the best position to clear way fast, but at the same time go for a gank if Blacklist International decide to push forward. Come on from a pincer angle, 18, 16k, they're gonna go for it.
Oh, Sensui is gonna get knocked up there. Luke to the backside, locking on OM, but the heavy spin forces now away. It's a 50-50. Who's gonna take it? Luke gets a 3-man stun on 3-man.
Oh, there we go.
The big brain man, but now Geek is on the run. Blacklist want to try to take him down. You take the Lord, but we take your lives. 2 members fall. Blacklist International. The Lord doesn't matter if we can take you all.
Exactly. The Lord doesn't matter if we can take you all.
But it was one big balloy that got the Lord for Geek Fam. But Blacklist will burn this quick. They will have a 2-man advantage over Geek Fam.
Are they gonna go for this? The finish, the knock off, the penalty zone.
GG.
Takes a ton of damage. UA goes down.
Shit, MM gone. Ixia saved. Wow, what plan chilo ida? What the fuck? Kire.
They've saved the day. Geek Fam survive another wave.
What a defense from Geek Fam once again.
Well done, sir. Well done. 2 team has locked their horns.
As they'll know, they make their way to the mid lane.
What a flicker that was from Marky.
Yeah. What a flicker, yeah.
Marky is deathless. The solution. They found a problem and they have the Marky to answer it. Now, Blacklist will have to defend. The back and forth, the seesaw, the drama. Is this where it ends? Or will it continue again?
Fam goes in. They crack down the inhibitor and a wild charge paired up with the bravest fighter. Luke looking for the stun, but he's pinned against the wall. Geek Fam now on the run. Edward able to get the penalty zone, but out comes the NetherRealm. They're going to be able to get away from this. Luke in a little bit of trouble, able to dash back. Black there on the chase. The final barrage. Luke takes a shot to the face. Marky as well. Geek Fam in shambles. Blacklist International changing the fate of game 2. UA finds another one. Bloisky all alone. A boy. Back at the base, back at the crystal. Blacklist International. You mentioned the pendulum. Well, they are the swing.
It doesn't end there. It does go again. And now Blacklist have the right set unless Geek Fam can defend once more.
All right, can Geek Fam do this? They need a little more time. Edward able to get the penalty zone. They want to finish it. The minions locked down. The final barrage just for salt in the wound. And Blacklist International takes game number 2.
Damn. Good show, sir. Good show.
As we expected in the epic matchup between Geek Fam and Blacklist International.
We do not get Super Bowl halftime shows in MLBB Esports, but this right here is the closest we'll get sports entertainment at its finest. 2 teams not wanting to back down. Welcome to the M5 Championship yet again. This was one of the greatest games we've had the honor to cast.
Once again, we're going to have this broken down further our panelists over there on the analyst stand. Leo, Mirko, take it away.
Can you believe it? In a single game of MLBB that lasted somewhat 20 minutes, we were put on a showcase of mechanics. A lot of things happened in that game that I've never seen in my entire career.
It's crazy how we saw so much action across the board from the start all the way to the end, Leo. I mean, it has to start in the drafts, right? Because we did mention that in game number 1, it felt like they were just looking to be as creative as they can, that they actually shot overboard, right? They went a bit too creative. Master the basics. You gotta master it. He's done it, and I'm glad to see that Blacklist International just went back to their basics, man. The Akai into the Matilda first phase to get a very strong trio mid setup going, and then picking the nail in the coffin, that Ixia.
That's right. A lot of other marksmen were actually open. You had a Brody still out there. You had the old classic Claude to answer the Faramis, the Beatrix even for the Filipino sniper. But they said, you know what? I think we need that full barrage, and indeed it came into play here in game 2, wherein there were so many false collapses, so many feigned ults, wherein you could have sworn, oh, I should have popped the full barrage 10 seconds earlier, but it was all according to plan. And again, this was made possible because of two very key players. I'd like to think they're very strong candidates for MVP, and I'm looking at Yue or Renegade.
Renegade is my choice personally, right? Because of the fact that he was able to screen so much of the map in the early phase to stop a lot of the ganks from happening, saving the Ixia multiple times as well. And it looks like I got it on the dot. The Hitman Renegade, the MVP for game number 2. 2-0 and 16.
2-0-16.
This is truly a visual representation of when the Hitman becomes a roamer.
It's the perfect example of why he's so good at what he does. For you to be able to protect your cores the way Renegade does, you gotta think like an assassin. You gotta think like a hitman. So he's able to cover Oheb, and of course, even you. Maybe that's why this Valentino was so good at reading bushes, checking in and keeping people where they need to be with the Terrifies. It's because Renegade knows where Luke might be hiding, where even Marky could be hiding. And yeah, Marky went deathless for a good 20 minutes. And then it was too late after the collapse. And all throughout, early, mid to late, even after those swings, even after those comebacks from Geek Fam, Renegade was on point.
I love the stark difference here between the two teams where Blacklist International, once they get the lead, they build it slowly. It's like an investment, right? Meanwhile, for Geek Fam, you can see they were explosive from the get-go. They were able to get an explosive lead in the early game, but then they kept on gambling with that lead, right? Obviously, when you make these crazy plays, two things can happen. You can give the lead over to the enemy team, or you can multiply your lead by a lot. And for the most part of this game, in the early stages, that's what it looked like. Geek Fam were able to snowball, but Blacklist, with the help of Renegade, every single time, even here, Oheb did die in the end, but Renegade bought so much time just by knocking them up that it actually granted Yue a lot of space, and then they had to burn more of those emblems, more of those spells from the side of Geek.
Yep, and again, the wisps that he uses to check bushes and to help reposition with the guiding winds. Again, you could have sworn that Renegade's Matilda had like 6 skills with the way that he was transporting, covering, couriering his cores to where they needed to be. And even here, towards that last clapback, right? Renegade was even making the shots. It's like, all right, I'm gonna take some hits from Marky. He was peeling here. And then, okay, let's try to save what's left. Oheb back out. There was a ball that was chasing the young prince. And then from there, Renegade just stayed on top of it. That's something I think the Hitman has in spades that he inputs into the Blacklist International mentality, is the fact that no matter how dire straights look, how desperate things are, he's always just ready to catch you, ready to say, you know what, everything's gonna be fine.
We heard about the championship mentality earlier, literally in game number 1, between game 1 and game 2, and we got to see it straight from Renegade himself, the Hitman picking up an MVP and a deathless performance in a chaotic game. I mean, take a look at it again. There was so much action, 19-9 in this entire game. But what I do want to kind of point out later is one of the items here where I found it was really, really interesting, right? But we're going to get back to the emblems first here, where for me, it's the Fredrin going for the concussive blast, right? Ever since the Fredrin got nerfed, some of the base damage, a lot of junglers have then utilized the concussive blast to get better clear across the jungle camps, to get that early lead, to kind of cover for the weakness that Fredrin has right now.
I'm with it. And again, if y'all are wondering how Luke does what Luke does, constantly putting pressure on Oheb and Yue, that's the build right there. the adaptive, the penetration and the early on spell vamp is key. Because if you do not build your Bloodlust Axe early, then you're going to start dying. And again, Luke kept it very close to the chest. Looking at the rest of the item builds, you're going to try to point something out here.
I'll point out at Marky right now, right? Because in game number 1, we actually did give him so much props for going for the offensive route. He didn't care about the win of nature because he was able to shut down his laner. And also, on the other side of the map, the other damage dealer that was dealing physical damage was also shut down. The fact that he did not go for win of nature, I have to say, this is a greedy move by him. Going for the Sea Halberd, you did see him position really well, but at one point, that full barrage, that range, it's bound to get to you.
Yep, and for the Hitman, again, if you want to build your Matilda the way that he did, that's it. You have that one magic item, the Enchanted Talisman, and then you build full support, full on support and defense. And this was something that bothered me earlier, all right? The moment that Oheb died during that almost final comeback from Geek Fam, I saw, hey, why is he building a halfway? All right, he was on his way to an immortality. So again, he understands, Oheb understands that he is a linchpin. He is a very important part of their winning condition that he has to protect himself, compared to Marky, who's just okay to be a little greedy.
Aside from that, I really got to talk a little bit about that final Lord, or not the final Lord, but the Lord that switched everything on its head, right? The complete 180 from Blacklist International when they were able to find Niall. Beloyski was on the other side of the map and Niall dashed in. When that initially happened, I expected, oh, okay, they wanted to try to utilize a boy's nether realm to try to miscalculate, make Blacklist miscalculate. But then you see Beloyski on the other side, and then you really start to question, was it truly a big miscom from the entire team, where they wanted to do some pushes, some more setups before they got to that Lord?
And that's wherein Blacklist now finds their window. In game 1, there was very little bit of a window. And again, it's that same gamble, that playing with the odds and just putting it all on the line that made Geek Fam win game 1 so quickly. Now, this one took a while longer. This one went past the 20-minute mark. But here you'll see that they're investing in the right spots. They are trying to build towards a winning condition that is capable of winning regardless of what happens, even inside their own base, because it was so close. Geek Fam was coming in. And with that, you have to ask, how did Blacklist do that? It's because they were trading very efficiently. They were giving out turtles, letting Edward die, allowing for Renegade to actually check in, buy time, and then move out. Geek Fam weren't picking fights as free, as wanton as they were in game 1.
No, they really weren't, right? But it's almost like, Leo, it's kind of an identity for them at this point, right? We've coined in the term the solution for the entire tournament, even in MPL Indonesia. Now, they're not just looking for solutions, but they're looking for problems, because there can never be a solution when there's no problems. Marky, the rest of the team kept on looking for these crazy fights across the map. And I get it in game number 2, especially after the adrenaline rush that is game number 1. They dominated Blacklist in game number 1. But now it's about that wake up again. It's that back to reality phase, right? You got to get that reality check, and it comes in the form of a big slap in the face from the Hitman himself.
And just as our desk mentioned, there is a pendulum here, swinging back and forth, back and forth. In game 1, it went all the way even out of that big old grandfather clock and went towards Geek Fam's way. Now, Blacklist able to slow it down. Blacklist able to play to their pace, trade out to the point of inevitability. Where does
Mr. Pride Gamers YouTube ভাই আপনি এবং আপনার সাবস্ক্রাইবার সবাই মিলে এমএলবি খেললে কেমন হয় একটা গ্রুপ খুলেন এটা একটা ছিল গ্রুপ বাট আমি জাপানে চলে আসার পরে এটা সত্যি বলতে আর পসিবল না কজ পিং অনেক হাই থাকবে অনেক হাই থাকে
The fact that Blacklist International calculated that so well, that ADP came in really handy.
That's right. And ADP is something that Blacklist is constantly thinking about, anti-disaster protocol. Because in this game alone, they won this game. They won this game. They were always thinking, all right, we got to keep that lead very close. Keep that lead a manageable place so that when we do turn at the Lord with the big ult, it's still worth coming back for.
It's efficiency versus explosiveness. Literally, the visual storytelling for that is literally explosion and also efficiency.
Let's throw it over to our hosts on stage as we go ahead and buy a little bit of time for our players before they get back into game 3.
Here with us in the crowd, our 2 icons in Philippine and
Damn, she's hot.
scene. We have Hall of Legends inductee Doggy.
Hello po.
And Renegade H2O. How are you guys doing?
Kumusta?
Ayos lang.
Ayos lang po.
Ayos means good, good,
Yeah.
okay. So we're holding the biggest MLBB tournament here in the Philippines, the World Championship. How do you guys feel about that?
I feel so excited. Kung titingnan nyo, kasi andyan yung isang player na matagal ko nang kasama. Siya naging kakampiyon ni H2O, si Renny J, and I'm rooting for them to win this tournament. Talagang tumataas balahibo ko. I mean, na-speechless ako. Jay, malapit na, pero malayo pa, puso lang.
Yes!
He's really excited. He's really excited because he's here with somebody that he's been with for a long time, and that's Renny J. He's getting goosebumps right now.
How about
Okay.
you, H2?
Nakaka-proud kasi tayong mga Pinoy nag-a-handle ng gantong event. Lalo na malakas yung MLBB sa Pinas. Tsaka shoutout nga pala sa kay Renny J. Sobrang proud ako sa'yo kasi layo na lang narating mo.
Yeah,
Tsaka yun.
Again, they're just very proud of their former teammate and also player. Boss D, gusto kitang talangin, na-bring up mo na si Renny J. Ang ganda ng Game 2. Important to win. Nag-MVP pa siya. Ano pakiramdam na nandyan, di ba? Napapanood. Ayan na. Soft spot, sabi nga ni Boss D sa akin kanina, soft spot daw niya talaga to.
Sa akin, ibang klase. Yung combo nila ni Oheb, yung nag-second skill siya sa Matilda, tapos dagit niya si Oheb, tumayo na balahibo doon.
Detalyado.
Man, like, ibang klase yung mga play na ginagawa ng Blacklist ngayon. Sure ko, man. Proud sa Yahweh.
Ay, you know what, Boss D? Panoorin natin to kasi may video tayo na nakita kung paano mo supportahan si Renny J.
Let's watch this.
Tapos na to, guys. Tapos na. Tower lock, let's go! Jay, dalawang panalo pa, Jay. Matataas ko na po, Jay. Magpa-finals ka, M5, Jay. Jay, dalawang panalo na lang, Jay.
This is literally me সেদিন দেখবো বাংলাদেশ খেলতেছে. This is literally me.
Dougie, what's going through your mind right now? You're very emotional. Tell us what you're feeling.
Man, alam ko ito yung... Iniwan sila sa akin ng magulang nila. Like, nakita ko pa si Renny J. Hindi pa bago yung ilong niya nun. Okay. Pero, binigay sa akin sila na magulang nila, si H2, si Renny J, si Yahweh. Like, kailangan ko gawan ng pagaan yung mga time na wala kami sa MPL. Kaya yung mga bagay na pinapa-stream ko sila, kasi gusto ko yung kung ano yung nakakamit ko sa buhay na nakakamit nila. Tapos ngayon, syempre, nung season 1, nakapag-champion, nakakamit kung awa ko play-8er. Tapos yung sa MSC. Tapos ngayon, andyan ba sila? Wish ko lang, man. Like, man, tandaan mo, Jay, man, pamilya mo, kami, H2O, Yahweh, ako, Kaysen, lahat ng tao sa buhay.
ইংলিশ বল একটু বুঝি
Andyan si Hart. Dito kami, man, sasapakitaan ka namin.
Talagang Renny J crew up.
Marky, Baloy, patalo nyo na yan. Pinoy din naman kayo, di ba?
একটু বুঝি আমরাও ট্রান্সলেটর প্লিজ একটু আমরাও বুঝি একটু কাঁদি আমরাও
He recruited Renny J. And his parents, Renny J's parents, trusted Dougie, brought them to the boot camp, even with all the struggles going to MPL. He saw Renny J's growth, even before all the changes, physically and in the career. So he's just so proud of how far he's gone. Do you have a final message also to Renny J?
Message ko kay Renny J, dito lang ako palagi sa'yo. Sobrang proud ko sa'yo. Alam ko deserve mo tong araw na to and deserve mo rin kung nasan ka man ngayon, manalo matalo, dito lang ako palagi. And yun, sobrang proud ako sa'yo and good luck sa mga laban.
Well, yeah, kitang-kita. H2 just telling Rene J how proud he is of him. But I just want to ask, a former teammate, obviously a close friend, ano masasabi mo sa evolution ni Rene J on and off, of course, sa laro?
Yung sobrang laki ng in-improve ni Rene J ngayon kasi kampi ko na siya dati pa. So, alam ko na kung ano yung mga in-improve niya. Tsaka, nung nandito na siya sa Team Blacklist, parang sobrang laki pala ng in-improve niya kasi captain siya dito sa Blacklist eh. So, yun.
He's really proud of Rene J. He's been with him for so long, so he saw and he witnessed the growth of Rene J. Even now in Blacklist International, he's grown so much. And now it's time to find out how Blacklist will do against the Geek Fam. We're heading to game number 3. Here we go. Casters, pasok.
You're right there.
Okay, it's just that after what happened to the M2 World Championship Filipino broadcast, I promised I wouldn't cry on broadcast again, but I can't help it. That was really something. As someone who's coached a team before, but with the level of how Doggy has supported like all the players that has gone through him, he's more of a really just a father figure to a lot of the players. One of them being Rene J, and it's a touching story. And especially after that incredibly dramatic game number 2, of course, the tears are going to be flowing. It's emotions all around the Rizal Memorial Coliseum right now.
Which is, it's great that we had that because he was a big part of that, blocking in the Matilda, able to make those movements around the map this time and in the team fights, you know. This was what you were saying, the channeling, the heel man, the hit man, everything, right? The improvement over the courses of his career has led him to this world stage. And as you're looking across this, right, the Roamers kill participation, man, he's there at the top against some of the best players, obviously, in the world here.
And it just goes to show his play style, his mechanics, the way he moves around the map. And that's why so bad in Game 2, that's what I wanted to see him do.
Yeah, we got to call back to a little reference Wolf and I made together in the MPL Philippines Season 12. We called this the Uber, the Ultimate Bonding Experience Remix. With a hitman in charge, just a different tune, a different dance, a bit more aggressive, a little bit faster. And the fact that we see that stat really is just numbers being put into facts.
Yeah, and again, you know, I know we've been focusing a lot on Rene J here at Blacklist International, but we also have to paint the picture here. Geek Fam's doing great, right? There was even a moment where heck, they were about to 2-0 things, turn things around. So they're obviously still a threat as they approach Game 3, right? And you really have to kind of look at breaking it down. Even the fact that the way that Beloyski's been playing, you know, a lot of times we've been talking about this 7-death thing that he needs. Well, for the most part, he's barely died and he's still playing out of his mind, right? So I feel like as you're looking at the Roamers specifically, matching them up, they dictate a lot of the pace of the game, right? I mean, naturally, a lot of the Roamers do, but more so even if you're looking at this matchup, Beloyski and Rene J, how they kind of lead a lot of this charge here. And not to mention, again, the performance from Odette. How will it be this time around as we get ready once again to head into the draft for game number 3. It's 1-1 across the board. We'll see how teams adjust from the previous games. The game
nice presentation.
And once again, keeping our eyes on the
roasting time, boys.
For Rene J and Beloyski.
You mentioned a key thing there, dictating the tempo. And I really think that's why we're not going to see Angela first pick again. Or at least an Angela Rome.
That's about as anti-tempo as you
get. Game 2 was just putting proof to the pudding of Rene J and Beloyski want to play fast. That's it. So now Geek Fam, with them now on the blue side, they go with a patented blue side priority pick onto the Lilia. So the Blacklist will go for the Akai here. The Lilia pickup sort of turns off the Farabis getting picked up. Let's see if they're going to go switch it up, but no. They say, you know what, we can play into it. We can still try it. Maybe we can play a little bit faster than Geek Fam before the Lilia will hit that super late game annoying spike.
Not only that, but Geek bans out the Matilda there just to slow them down even more.
Yep.
They don't want to let Blacklist get to that full tempo. So what is left for Renegade? We've seen him pick up the Cho here and there. There's plenty of options still out there. Does he go for something more aggressive? Does he fall back to the Raft? Because that does give them a little bit of movement, a little bit of speed around the map. It's been another fallback pick for Blacklist. So definitely still a few options. Is it going to be here, or is it going to be in second phase?
Yeah, one of the more indirect answers to the Lilia is actually the Rafaela that you mentioned. Because of that extra movement speed, you get to negate a little bit of the slows that she can dish out, and at the same time, you can avoid the damage that a Lilia can dish out. And surprisingly enough, heading into this, actually, there's the Rafaela. Besides the Matilda, Rafaela is actually the most pick of Renegade. So there, they lock that in. Now we go to the second phase, EXP lane. You know what would be spicy? If we see now Edward pick up something like the Khalid or the Lapu Lapu for himself, give Luke a taste of his own medicine.
It's interesting too, you know, the fact that the Fairness was picked up here into that first pick Lilia, right? Because a lot of times the Lilia is the answer for the Netherrealm. You deal with it pretty well, you kind of expend that, but I still like the fact that they went with Rafaela. You work around the fact that you have some extra movement speed, you have sustainability, but you know, that leads us to, XP lane. Where does the focus here? You can already see, too, some respect once again for Boloyski. They're going to take out the Ruby. He still has, of course, the Grok available, too, if he wants to go that route. Edith is being taken out. Now, are we still expecting XP lane matchup with possibly the Lapu Lapu coming through? You already mentioned the Khalid here.
Yeah. Actually, the last time we saw Rafaela Faramis getting picked up by Blacklist International up against Onyx, they actually picked up the Khalid during that scenario. They had a Guinevere and a Bruno at that time. They might still be able to adjust a pick, so it might be a remix of that kind of draft, if ever.
I think they definitely want it. Khalid is definitely an important pick here for the side of Blacklist, because if they don't, it's a great answer to the Fairness. It's a great answer to that group-up strategy that Blacklist is bringing. So I think it's a very solid pick up front. On the side of Black, do they ban more? They take out the Lapu. And then what? They take the Khalid here. And all it really leaves Geek with, he could still pick up the Arlot. Could be a solid answer possibly for Luke.
Arlot.
Lapu ban is actually...
He's definitely got the Riz.
That's about, I mean, for the most part, if it is Khalid, let's say it is Khalid for Blacklist International, and it seems where it's going.
Unless Geek bans it right here.
Yeah, unless they just take it out right of the picture, and then you're kind of looking
Also,
at,
it's a good pick.
Still, what is it?
Good ban, actually.
Charizla being open.
Could see something like Uranus come into play here.
Ooh, might be tough though. A punch for a punch. Take out the Pagi. Oh, it really looks like a Khalid here. Could be last two picks Khalid. Carry might be tough, but they might like to pick that up last pick. They can go Khalid fourth pick and then Marksman into the last. If the Marksman gonna come in now, then it's gonna be a carry and then carry or a Brody. Because I don't see a 1-1 slotting into the lineup of Blacklist right now.
Yeah, not only that, we saw how Marky did against the 1-1 last time with the Claude. They are going to lock in the Khalid. Geek fam now looking for a roam.
Right now, he's lost in the sand.
He's lost in the sand. Oh yeah,
he's not there. So
he's got his head in the sand right now.
That's definitely Khalid. So he's going to be locked in. See what the answer is once again. XP lane, still got the Charizla. Is that something you'd actually want to pick up? Charizla into it, though?
Well, then, with the members of Blacklist grouping up together,
কই পিকটা কি হলো খালিদটা দেখলাম বাট why
a little bit difficult to make the Charizla work. Scratching my head right now. Maybe they'll go to the classic Arlot route.
Minotaur.
Yeah. So it's Arlot Minnow. So I'm really guessing
Arlot
for Blacklist International. Brody would be okay too, but my heart's speaking, yelling carry.
I think the Arlot's a solid pick, right? It gives a big possibility to be able to split Blacklist up a little bit, or if they are all grouped together, you can push everyone in. So there's a few answers with Luke here.
Loved animations.
Normal dive, Charizla, or Lapu Lapu that we've been seeing him play, but still very solid. He's able to be aggressive on it. And Boloyski as well. This is something I wanted to see, something that can meet Blacklist here head on. I think the major thing they have to do here is just kind of play around the Akai, because if you dive in, as you mentioned, you get caught by that heavy spin.
One point, there's the carry. Picks up, fitting for this situation as well, considering the fact that you got quite tankiness across from you.
Okay, so I'm leaning a little bit more towards the draft of Blacklist International, but again, For me, the biggest factor here for Geek Fam will be Beloyski's play on the Minotaur. How he plays this alongside the timing of Luke's final slashes as the Arlot might actually be enough to disrupt the Faramis-centered composition of Blacklist International. And then at the same time, with the Claude and the Baksha entering, and of course Arlot dashing around, how Geek Fam executes this in the team fight will be the main determinant of who will be winning this game number 3.
We're going to find out once again as we load up into the land of dawn. It's 1-1 in the series.
এটা কি দেখতেছি ও ওর অ্যানিমেশন ছিল দুরুমিয়া আমি ভাবছি সত্যি স্টেডিয়াম এরকম করছে
All unfolds here as things get situated once again. Talking about the lineups, quite a bit of tankiness for a Geek Fam. Does Blacklist International have the answer for it? With
Nope, they don't.
carry pick?
Fuck you.
It's actually a really interesting play here by Blacklist. They went straight into the mid lane to get a little bit of burst down onto Beloyski, maybe even potentially get a pick off there by sending Edward there with the slashes. Not going to be able to get the kill, but they do send Beloyski back a little bit.
Smartlet alhamdulillah তোমাদের কি অবস্থা
Yeah, and it sets Geek Fam back because one of the things I was worried about with Blacklist is they do have, once again, similar to kind of game 1, a softer, supportier mid lane right now. And sending Edward into the mid lane there to kind of already give them a little bit of a boost, a little bit of push into the enemy territory really helps back Blacklist in this tempo.
Yep, I like that. Real quick, emblems, anything sticking out here, Renmar?
Massive on the Kali. This is the assassin full damage Kali.
মাত্র আসলাম কই গেছিলেন
Maybe be the guy to force out the black shoes of the Lilia. One of the biggest things that Blacklist International need to do if they want to be a little bit more comfortable in the team fights.
That's like typically, you know, again, when Khalid is picked up, you kind of expect Dolan, Marky, and Oheb just okay.
Okay.
Marky not exactly getting the better as game 1. This is going to be the second game in a row. Oheb is winning out on some of these trades.
Yeah, going back to the point again, Khalid, I feel like this part is going to be very important, right? Yeah. For the fact that usually you see Khalid enter second in some of these team fights, but this time Edward might be making the initiation. As you mentioned, your whole goal is, let's get that black shoes out from a boy, let's kind of work around that. Once again, even the fact that you have to work against the Minoan Fury from Beloyski. If that is all expended, then Blacklist International is in a great position to win some of those early skirmishes and team fights later on. Oh, look at that.
A lot of damage on Edward. Forced to use a flicker. Luke looking for the finish. Heavy spin comes. Luke able to flicker to the side. Edward going to get some of his health back with that sand guard. But now Niall going to lock on to Sensui. They know he doesn't have the heavy spin. Beloyski there as well. The NetherRealm comes out, and now the response waiting on the final slash. Raging Sandstorm from Edward. Able to help to disengage. Luke very low, trying to back off. Renny J on the chase, but the Turtle still low. Niall able to secure. Beloyski on the front side. A nice stun on 2 members with Fury. 2 members taken out. Yue and Renny J back to base.
Big miscalculation there by Blacklist International. They had their heavy spin forced out in the bottom lane. That means the Geek Fam relatively
আরেকটা পাবে retribution made. Oh fuck.
Oh, Edward here to equalize.
Is he still going? Okay, no, he's just look at my sand, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty sand, just look at it.
Look
right?
at my sand. Did you just say eat sand, nerd?
Eat sand, nerd.
Yeah, it works, right?
It's Edward.
It is Edward. Now looking at the gold earned here, Marky though farming up pretty good in comparison to Oheb. Those two, for the entirety of the series so far, it's been very action-packed. Just to leave them be, right? This is the thing where usually I talk about the gold lane experience, but like these guys have their own version of it. They just duke it out in the gold lane, while the rest of the team kind of puts pressure everywhere else.
Yeah. So now we're going to be seeing a Blacklist International go into the top side jungle of Geek Fam a little bit. Oh,
they're looking for Yue here. Does have the NetherRealm, should be able to get away from this safely, but if they can pop it out, it could help with an advantage. Blacklist, though, all grouped up at the top. They're ready for this.
And right now, Blacklist International are playing like a team where they know and understand the condition of we have to not necessarily win the mid, just control the mid. Because that means our side lanes will be a little bit easier to deal with in terms of like supplementing.
Hey, I'm gonna get what's up.
Edward's comfortable with going
welcome to the stream, sir.
Against Luke's Arlon. If you look at the items already, the Corrosion Scythe on the carry. Still waiting on the oh wait, no, there it is, the DHS.
Grabbed it,
I just grabbed it for Marky. So
thank you for coming back.
Tempered right now is rotation. A bit slower, a bit more methodical on what these two teams are doing.
Yeah, still focused in the mid lane.
Ow.
Again, a lot of this, you could see them kind of already getting in position. Turtle's going to be up here. Second one of the game. Both teams where they want to be. Gold laners staying on the bottom side of the map. They're going to go ahead and just not be a part of this. Turtle, take it.
Niall able to take it. Geek Fam kind of controlling the pace right now. Nice heavy spin from Luke, trying to lock on to Edward there. Down at the orange buff too, Beloyski. Geek Fam just in itself right now is being so aggressive. Edward forced to use the Raging Sandstorm as a getaway.
Yeah, that final slash that we saw earlier from Luke, and with Blacklist International forced back. Can't get close enough. Actually a retro duel, if I'm not mistaken, won by Niall, or I don't think they just got close. Now they trigger the call for a switch. We're going to be switching things up, the focus. This is classic Blacklist International. Now they're going to be looking into supplementing Oheb. Double laning now, trying to maximize the farm that he can get across the map, because they're going to need that.
Oh, Beloyski!
Teri.
Wait, no, the Holy Baptism able to delay Geek Fam. Geek Fam still looking away the wild slide.
Ultimate coming from Claude.
Luke making the play to change the game. Wow!
What a heal.
Edward finally drops. Sends him with a heavy spin just to try to get away. 4 members of Blacklist.
Damn. Hey, even Loki. What's up on the stream, sir?
Of the day so far, right on point there.
Another chapter added to the book of Luke. No other analysis needed, man. That was a hell of a final slash.
Yep, we're gonna
True.
look at it once again. The instant replay here, presented by Kadia. If you missed it, now you get to see it again. It all unfolds here under the tier 1 turret. Here comes Luke.
Sheesh. Oh, Altrak, yo usta.
Picture perfect positioning as an Arlod. That's what you
Hello,
want to
Sam.
get. And despite them being under tower, Geek Fam can just juggle bodies to ensure that they win that out. Luke, my goodness, still continuing.
Oh, Renegade. Trouble.
Boy.
What a heal.
Gets through with a heal.
Geek Fam is so aggressive right now.
Yeah, in a very quick, decisive play. Now 3K ahead, not to mention objectively. Still in a similar situation where we saw for the previous games, right? Blacklist doesn't have a turret yet. They're kind of restricted in terms of space and movement around the map. Uh-oh.
Sensui trying to get away here. Geek Fam just suffocating. They're playing so well, meticulously aggressive, like just so well all over the map, everywhere. Edward now looking for a target. Raging Sandstorm just to get away. Geek Fam want to take this tower.
And this is what we were talking about earlier, actually, for the side of Geek Fam. I did say I was leaning a bit more international, but if Geek Fam layered their abilities well, found their timings, caught Blacklist International caught Blacklist International off guard, they'd be taking their conditions. They'd be the one leading the charge here. So that's exactly what they did. With meticulous, as you mentioned, their treks, gameplay around the map, good macro, and finding those little windows of opportunity to counter go during the objective team fights, Geek Fam are just doing what they need to do with the lineup they have to make sure Blacklist lineup won't be able to shine as well as it could have.
Yeah, and with this, with the lead they have, you can see them put the
Skin name, yeah,
Blacklist International, at least trying to force these things out of Sensui even. But again, they'll take the buff. Now, my biggest thing here is the time that it takes for that point, the power spike, if you will. How's that comparison against the Claude? Typically, Claude takes a while too, but with this lead, and we saw the gold difference between gold lane alone, Oheb, it's going to take a little bit longer here. We're only 8.5 minutes in.
Yeah, there's a bit still, they're both built up to a golden staff, so I think it's good news that Carry also has, true damage. Not going to be good. Well, Aboy now has an Ice Queen wand here, so that's something Blacklist needs to watch out for. Yes, they have that holy healing, but those slows, strong counter punishes.
Boy, going to respond back, though. Edward able to do nothing there. Niall gonna back
up. Their retribution I think
it's smart. You mentioned the Claude and the carry. One of the things about the Claude though is even if he's not fully online unloading a ton of damage, he still has so much utility outside of that with the split pushing, with being able to still melt down the Nether Realm.
Exactly.
Whereas carry, you just have one job really. It's try to shred down, the front liners. And until carry can do that, there's not much else she can do.
Man, look at this already. They force Sensui. Less than half health, they go ahead and give the go signal for the Lord. I don't think Blacklist International can even get here in time.
Yeah. And I don't think they have the opportunity to find a counterplay, but I think they're going to try to go for Beloyski.
Beloyski able to get the knock-up, though, on 2 members. Another realm comes out from Yue. Marky trying to unload, but Geek Fam maybe just want to disengage here. Edward misses, whips into the backside, and now Geek Fam smell blood. Luke looking for one. The final slash to knock Edward out of the sand guard. And wait, Marky to the backside with lazy weapon. He's taking a lot of damage. Able to flick back with the BMI. Blacklist International might have to lose this tower for the sake of the team.
What a play there by Geek Fam, again finding opportunity. Even the Blacklist International sniffed blood, thought they could get Beloyski.
Good job.
Geek Fam was able to chase
Another wild slash on Oheb. Flicker! Luke, the stone under the tower. He's gonna go down for that, but it is worth it today.
Again, Luke has been on point this entire game. Actually, the entire series so far, and right now it's Blacklist International trying to struggle to stay in this game. Nearly 7,000 gold deficit to work from.
Stone cold. Mr. 315. Add another chapter to the book of Luke.
GG. Congratulations on the PC.
The series against Blacklist International. Committing the flicker just
But
to
get a
ensure that
bit
kill
soon.
goes
Come on.
down.
PC the out so fine. I get a
Now,
bit.
Geek Fam, they have a little bit more space to work with in terms of
Yeah, sure.
turrets, getting inhibitors down.
All right, Geek Fam trying to move in. They get the stun on to Sensui. Sensui gets heavy spin though, but then Owen's Fury helps Geek Fam. Blacklist International finds Nile though. And now Edward with the Raging Sandstorm looking for a boy. The black shoes are already gone. He will go down. Marky in with the blazing duet. Blacklist doesn't want to keep the fight going, but at least they keep Geek Fam away.
So there's still some fight back from Blacklist International. They're trying once again to allow Oheb to get online here. Real quick, how's the items looking?
All right, so it's still an advantage for the Claude here. Up to, okay, so since we actually had to rush a Blade Armor there, also up to a Radiant Blade Armor on the Baksha. The 2 Dominance Isis on the side of Geek Fam are causing a bit of trouble here for Blacklist. We see, I believe that's a rush into the Malefic Roar by that Khalid. So once that Malefic Roar goes up, he's going to be like one of the biggest damage dealers for Blacklist International. It has to be because Yue had to go for a more utility route, deciding to prioritize the Necklace of Durance.
Thank you so much for coming.
And then going to a Lightning Truncheon.
YouTube.
This is crazy too, as you're looking just the damage.
Can't say that shit on YouTube, so.
The members from Geek Fam. That's something that they have to work from, right? Again, when you have this kind of lead, that's kind of what you expect, but itemization-wise, will fall into place the further they get into the game, especially if Blacklist International can kind of stall things out a little bit longer, right? We're still working with the fact that you really have to allow Oheb to get to this point in this carry. You already saw that Wind of Nature being picked up by Marky, going to give him some of this upper hand in a lot of these skirmishes and team fights as they break out, not to mention working around the Minoan Fury and avoiding the final slash from Luke, which has been on point. Edward also trying to bring up some of the damage, right? Picks up a Malefic Roar here to provide, once again, that burst potential to possibly put pressure on Geek Fam as this second Lord is now worked on. Blacklist trying to get a position here. Edward staying in that mid lane, trying to clear that out as the Lord dance ensues. We got to keep a track of the positioning. Luke, not even a part of this so far.
One thing about Oheb is he's got the Trinity locked in. He's got his 3rd item locked in. He is officially a threat to the team, but Marky trying to lock on you, maybe force out that Nether Realm a little bit early. Geek Fam taking this slow. They know they have the advantage in the lanes. Blacklist International doesn't want to give this Lord up, though. Nice final slash. Lands on a Sensui. Bloyski able to get the knockup as well. Oheb now making the charge in. But wait, a 5-man knockup. Luke into the backside though, locked on to Marky. Marky forced to be a man away. Bloyski goes down first, and Oheb's unloading. Niall looking for it. Can he get the retribution? No, Sensui takes it. Blacklist International back-to-back games, turning things around.
We talked about the Book of Luke, but add another chapter to the Book of the Lord, knocking up people at the worst possible time. You saw there, Geek Fam, Beloyski had the setup with the Minoan Fury, but then the Lord said, hey, I can set people up too. Doesn't matter who I knock up. And then add Edward entering into the back line of Geek Fam. What looked to be really great